Is there anything you'd like to add or alter?
Yeah, can you tell my mum to off for me?
Why is that?
Because she's blaming me and my dad for everything when we haven't done anything. Neither has my dad. Now, I'm just sick of this. She's just saying whatever she wants to get out of the cells.
Welcome or welcome back. I'm Cassie and this is A Wicked World. If you haven't checked out A Wicked World's new merchandise store yet, then make sure you do that after this video. There's hoodies, mugs, stickers, and more. Now the story I have for you today is about a little boy whose mother put him in a horrible living situation from which he had no escape. And eventually this would end up leading to his death. This is the story of Logan Mwangi. Logan Mwangi was born on March 15, 2016, to his mother, Angharad Williamson, and his father, Benjamin Mwangi. He was a bright, chatty, clever, and artistic little boy. Logan also loved playing hide-and-seek and pretending to be his favorite superhero, Superman. His parents separated soon after his birth, and his father, Ben, returned back to his hometown of Brentwood, Essex, while Logan and Angharad remained in Wales. But he still continued to have visits with his son, Logan. As for Logan's mother, she adored her son and was said to be very protective of him. Towards the end of 2016, Angharad got married to another man, but this relationship quickly turned violent, and they would end up separating at the beginning of 2019. During the time that she was married to this man, however, Logan was not allowed to have contact with his biological father. After the couple had gone their separate ways, Angharad ended up having a one-night stand with a man she met at a local pub. His name was John Cole. Following this, they quickly started a relationship, and John would move into the home with Angharad and Logan. And it wouldn't be long after that until Angharad found herself pregnant with John's son. Around that time, things also began to change in the home. Angharad would take Logan to visit his father in London in early 2020, and during that time, she was unable to answer some phone calls from John due to her terrible morning sickness. When she'd then gone back home, John acted incredibly cold towards her and accused her of cheating on him with Logan's biological father. Anytime after that, Logan would bring up going on the trip to see his dad, John would get incredibly angry and say that Logan was just bringing it up to wind him up. And by Christmas of 2019, Angharad had lost contact with all her family and friends due to John's controlling behavior. Logan's new baby brother would end up arriving in mid-2020, and when he did, John claimed that Logan became very needy and jealous. But the thing was, John just did not want his son around Logan. Because come to find out, John was actually a former member of the National Front, which is a political party whose view is that only white people should be citizens of the UK. Accordingly, he had a reputation of being a racist. John had also received a series of criminal convictions in his past, including some for violent offenses. So since Logan was part Kenyan, John did not like the little boy, and he did not want him around his new baby. He even named Logan Cocoa Pop because of his skin color. And as Angharad said, he called him the spit of his biological dad. Shortly after the new baby's arrival home, John claimed that Logan had tried to suffocate the newborn by putting a pillow over its face. This had then prompted the father to take his new baby son out of the home, and he prevented Angharad from seeing him, except for when Logan was at school during the day. However, John would end up returning back to the home with the new baby about 2 days later. John was additionally said to excessively discipline Logan by forcing him to hold a push-up position for extended amounts of time, as well as make him stand outside in the garden for long periods. Logan's mother was also on board with these punishments. The boy's bedroom window had even been covered with a bedsheet, and neighbors would later report hearing John frequently screaming at the boy. Then, during the height of the pandemic in the summer of 2020, John Cole's stepson, whom he'd taken care of since he was just a baby, 12-year-old Craig Mulligan, along with Craig's mother, began living in the home too. This was after Craig's mother claimed that she was suffering from cancer, but she actually was not. It's also said that John, Angharad, and this other woman had a polyamorous relationship at one point. On August 16, 2020, Logan was taken to the doctors by his mother after she claimed that he had fallen down the stairs and dislocated his shoulder. She told the doctor that he had actually done this the day prior, but she hadn't sought medical help immediately because she tried to pop his shoulder back in herself first. But medical staff discovered that not only did he have a dislocated shoulder, but he also had a fractured arm and bruising on his cheek. Upon examining Logan, doctors were rather concerned that his mother hadn't sought medical help sooner. Therefore, they contacted social services. Unfortunately, social services wouldn't end up being much help, and neither were authorities, because they both agreed that the threshold to undertake child protection inquiries had not been met at that stage, on the basis that there was limited medical information. This was in spite of the fact that John was living in the home with Logan, and he had an extensive criminal background, which included possession of an offensive weapon, theft and illegal drug possession, and assault on a child. He had also served a prison sentence for burglary. Police had looked into this record, and they agreed that John was not an appropriate person to solely be taking care of Logan. But apparently, with another adult, it was fine. A further health assessment would later be done by Logan's pediatric doctor. And more widespread bruising and injuries were discovered. 31 different pictures of these injuries were also taken. Records documented that he had a blue mark above his genitalia, 2 bruises to his ankle, 2 bruises to his forehead, bruising to the tops of both ears, bruising behind one ear, bruises to both cheeks, a carpet bruise to his chin, bruising to his left arm, and bruising around his shoulder. It's also written in that report that these injuries were not shared with anyone outside of the hospital, not authorities, not social services. In order to explain some of these injuries, Angharad would say that Logan had banged his head, would often pinch himself, and the marks above his ears were simply from his COVID mask. However, she had no explanation for the mark that was found near his genitalia. There was clearly something going on inside the home where Logan was living, but since no one had seen these documented injuries other than the doctors, nothing was done. Had they been monitoring Logan, it would become even more apparent that something was going on when he returned back to school a few weeks later. Because when he did, Logan's teachers would say that he had a stammer, incontinence issues, and he just generally looked unhealthy. Then, following an incident in January of 2021, Logan and his younger brother were placed on the Child Protection Register, which meant that social workers were to go out to the home every 10 days to check on things, starting in March. The incident that had prompted this was actually an assault that had happened inside the home. Craig's mother had attacked the 12-year-old, which resulted in her being arrested and him being removed from the home for the next 6 months. A foster family that Craig had been placed with during this time would say that the teen had threatened to kill them. They also claimed that Craig had spoken fondly of John and Angharad. However, he said that he wanted to kill Logan, whom he never referred to by name. According to the foster family, they had reported these concerns to a social worker, but they had just been brushed aside. The social worker would later deny ever being told. One of Craig's foster parents would also say that the teen was just pure evil, and he enjoyed causing fear and anxiety in others. Craig was also fascinated with death and tried to get the other children in the home to play a murder game in which they would get into black bins. But this wasn't new behavior for Craig, as he had always been a troubled youth with mental health issues. He would often lash out for attention, and teachers described him as disruptive and aggressive. The boy would also regularly have outbursts during class, and he would punch holes in walls and doors. One of the few pastimes that did maintain the teen's interest was Thai boxing, which meant he knew how to fight. On the same day that Craig was taken into custody by social services, Angharad would also call police and tell them that the teen had confessed to pushing Logan down the stairs back in August, which had resulted in his broken arm. But only months after that, in June of 2021, Logan and his younger sibling were removed from the Child Protection Register after social workers decided they were no longer at significant risk of harm. But then, only a month after that, Logan suffered from a broken collarbone. John would later say that this happened when Logan just fell down in the kitchen, and there was no record of them ever getting him any medical attention for it. It was also around the same time that John's stepson Craig was placed into his custody, and he began living in the home with Logan again. On July 21st, 2021, 5-year-old Logan tested positive for COVID-19 and was expected to self-isolate in his room alone. He would last be seen alive by someone outside of the household on July 27th, when John was speaking with a friend on FaceTime. And they said they saw Logan coloring near the stairs looking happy and joyful. Though, according to authorities, the little boy had actually been confined to his room and not allowed to leave. A stair gate was even set up outside to prevent him from escaping, which had caused Logan to become rather anxious. On July 30th, Logan tested negative for COVID, so he should have been let out of isolation. However, he was not. That same day, a social worker would make an unscheduled visit to the home to check on the boy. But she did not actually see Logan as she was not allowed inside due to his COVID-19. This was also despite the social worker staying for close to 20 minutes and speaking to Ang Herod the whole time. The very next morning, early on July 31st, Ang Herod would make a desperate phone call to 999, saying that she had woken up and Logan was gone.
Please help me, please.
Where are you?
My son's not here. My boyfriend is not here.
Okay,
Help
take
me,
a breath.
please.
Take a breath, because I can't understand you when you're crying. Where are you?
5 Lower Lansdowne, Freddie the Son.
Lower what, sorry?
Lower Lansdowne, Freddie the Son. Send somebody is not here.
Okay, who's not there?
My son, he's alive. He's not here.
Okay, take a breath. When did you see him last?
I touched him in the bed last night and I've just got up for my son and the other one's not here. Logan!
Okay, take a breath. He's 5 and he's gone. Can you see any of the doors open?
Logan!
I need you to speak to me, not just shout. I know it's really full on and it's really scary. I need you to tell me. What's his name? Is his name Logan?
Logan Williams, please.
And he's 5. Is he 5, did you say?
He's 5, please.
Okay. Tell me what he looks like, please.
He's a little mixed race boy. He's just got his spidey pajamas on. Wearing shoes.
Okay, is anybody else there with you? Any other adults?
Yeah, my partner. He's looking out.
Right. Are any of the doors or windows open?
What doors, windows, what's open? Someone tell me what.
Take a breath. I know that this is terrifying. But right now I need you to try to breathe so I can get the information I need. Can you see?
My back gate's open. My back gate's open.
Okay, back gate. Where does the back gate lead to?
I don't know what the road's called.
That's fine. It leads onto a road as opposed to a field or anything like that, does it? Okay.
I'm running up it now. It's concrete.
Okay. What's your name?
You're going to look at him now.
What's your name? I need to know your name a second.
Ang Herod.
Okay, Ang Herod, I really need you to just take a breath for a second, okay? Because you're starting to hyperventilate. I know that this is very, very scary. I need you to stay in the house. So who's run out after Logan?
My fiance, my partner.
Your partner has. Okay. So Dad's gone out looking, yeah? What's Dad's name?
John Cole. He's stepdad, but virtually dad.
At the same time that she made this call, Craig and John went outside looking for the boy and calling his name.
Logan!
When police arrived, the search for Logan began quickly and ended almost just as quickly when they found his body floating in the River Ogmore.
I'm not allowed to see my own biological son.
Look.
He's unconscious. Why is he unconscious?
Listen, I don't know. Right now, the best thing...
All I'm getting is answers like this. Why is no one telling me what's going on?
I don't know. Sweetheart, look.
He's
please,
my
darling,
baby.
darling.
What's going on?
You need to calm down. You need to do their job. Yeah?
I do. I'm not saying it's not reasonable. I'm
If
not.
he's unconscious, he needs me. He needs
He
warm
needs the
clothes.
ambulance
He
service at
needs
the minute.
mum.
They've got blankets.
He
They've
needs
got
his
blankets, okay?
I feel so useless, Dad.
I know.
It's not my fault.
Logan's body was discovered to have a total of 63 different injuries, as well as damage to his internal organs. His injuries were described as indicative of a severe localized blunt force trauma, and with these injuries, he would have survived for a few hours before he died. John Angharad and 13-year-old Craig were all arrested the very same day on suspicion of murder. They all, of course, initially denied having any responsibility for Logan's death, saying that he had just disappeared from the home. But evidence showed that all three had indeed participated.
Okay, so this is John, okay? Alright, John. Right, we've obviously come to speak to you. What I need to tell you now, okay? 1822. I'm arresting you on suspicion of the murder of Logan.
What?
I do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when question something which you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence, okay? The necessity for my arrest of you today is for prompt and effective investigation, to protect a vulnerable person, and to prevent the loss and secure of any additional evidence we need, okay?
Right.
Fuck no.
What?
Hey, John, calm down a second. What we're going to do now, okay?
I just found out I said expected.
I know.
Why am I getting arrested?
Right, do you want to have a sit down by there a minute, please? Do you want to have a sit down by here a minute, Howard? And Howard, sit by here now. Sit down on the... Do you want to have a sit down by there a minute, right? Don't want you falling down, right? Have a sit down by there, okay? Okay? Right, you're under arrest on suspicion of murder, okay? So you do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned, something which relates to the court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. Necessity for the arrest, okay, is to prevent loss of property, to allow a prompt and effective investigation, and to protect vulnerable persons and children, okay? We get social services, okay?
Don't take my children away!
No? Okay, it's as part of the investigation.
I haven't done anything wrong!
Okay.
Where is Logan? Where is Logan,
He's
please?
still with us at the moment. He's still in the hospital with doctors.
What happened to him?
Can't explain anything further at the moment.
Why is nobody talking to me? You're supposed to be helping find out what happened, not arresting me when I'm telling you my son.
Okay.
What is wrong with you guys? You're supposed to be helping me.
I understand you're upset. I understand.
Is your son dead? Is your son being found in a river?
Okay, Anne Harrod. We understand you're very upset. We've got an investigation.
I'm very upset. I've just lost my son. You've taken my other children away.
Even though they were all denying their involvement in Logan's murder, police had found evidence in the form of CCTV footage. In one video taken on July 31st, shortly after 2:30 a.m., two figures who look to be Craig and John are seen exiting through the home's front gate, carrying what looks to be a body. A second trip was also caught on CCTV of John and Craig disposing of Logan's ripped dinosaur pajama top. They also had footage that showed Logan's mother, who'd stayed behind at the home, had been turning lights on and off throughout the house. When police spoke with Craig, he told them that his father John had woken him up in the middle of the night while he was in the living room. They had then grabbed some black trash bags full of trash from the garden, gone down to the river, and disposed of them. Craig insisted to police that he had no idea what the bags contained. However, he also admitted to police that 20 minutes after they had dumped these bags, they had gone back to check and make sure they were gone. Additionally, the teen told authorities that while they were doing this, they tried to be extra quiet so they didn't wake up Angharad or Logan.
I woke up in the middle of the night. Then Dad come into the living room with me. I know we weren't meant to do it, but we grabbed some of the rubbish in the back garden and we chucked it in the river. Now it was all in like black bags and everything. I don't know what was in the bags, I can't remember. And then about 20 minutes after, we went back out to check whether they've gone down. We didn't say anything. We were trying to be as quiet as we could because we didn't want to wake Logan and Herod. And I don't know whether Logan was still there at that point because we didn't look.
Now, when it was John's turn to speak with police, he told them that Herod had actually woken him up in the middle of the night, screaming and saying that Logan was dead. John claimed that he had then gone into Logan's room and performed CPR on the boy. But instead of calling emergency services, John claimed that he and Herod just panicked and decided to dispose of Logan in the river instead. As for Logan's mother, she told police that she had actually slept through the entire night and had no idea how her son had gone missing or ended up dead.
From the CCTV, lights appear on and off at various intervals through the early hours.
No, I did not switch the light off. I was asleep.
This is the front gate to your house leading out onto the street. And this would be around 2:45 in the morning. It's definitely a person walking through and they're carrying a shape what looks like a body.
Please close, I don't want to see it.
Okay.
That's my son.
Herod would finally crack and come out with the truth about how her son had died. She told police that on July 30th, her boyfriend John had inflicted punches to his stomach 3 to 4 times. According to her, this was because he believed that the boy had broken the home stereo, and Logan refused to admit or talk about breaking it. According to John, the little boy would only respond to pain. Herod claimed that during this attack, she told John to stop, but the man had just laughed and said, "That was a good one, wasn't it?" about his punch. According to Logan's mother, 13-year-old Craig had also joined in on the assault of her son by hitting him a few times, then knocking him to the floor with a martial arts move, which caused Logan to bang his head. It was also later discovered that after this assault, Herod had gone and pulled Logan's shirt, which caused it to rip as she yelled at him to tell the truth about the broken stereo.
John is saying both him and you had hit Logan. And you had ripped Logan's dinosaur pajamas.
He was on the floor and rather than grabbing his body, she's picked him up by his t-shirt and it's ripped.
This is not true, this is a lie.
And John is saying he woke was to you screaming, "He's dead, Logan's dead."
And Herod was seriously frantically panicking, so was I.
Following this, Herod said that she actually felt bad that she had participated and decided that she was going to break up with John. But John told her that if Logan caused them to break up, he would kill the boy. Just hours after he received his injuries, Logan would succumb to them and pass away. Had he been brought to the hospital, chances of his survival would have been around 80%. The trial for all 3 people who were responsible for Logan's murder started in April of 2022, and Craig Mulligan, whose name had previously been hidden from the public, was also finally revealed. During the trial, it would be discovered, among other things, that Herod had been responsible for some of her son's prior injuries. At one point after John had moved in, there had been a burn mark discovered on Logan's neck, and they had said that this was just from him leaning up against a hot tap. However, it was found that Herod had caused this injury by purposely putting a hot spoon there. Logan's mother's grief following her son's death was also brought into question, as she seemed rather unaffected after she had received her charges.
Giving evidence today, his grandmother, Claire Williamson, told the court she believed there was no doubt her daughter's grief and distress was genuine. Claire Williamson described her daughter's character as melodramatic and over-emotional. When she met her in hospital, she said Herod Williamson was in an absolute state of shock. She was distraught, bouncing off the walls, not sure how to cope or take it all in. The day after Logan's death, the jury heard how Claire Williamson saw her daughter again. She told the jury Herod was calmer, but recalling a conversation, the defendant told her not to be surprised if she and her partner John Cole were arrested. Claire Williamson asked, "Why? You haven't done anything wrong." And Herod replied, "But it happened when Logan was in our care."
At the end of the trial, Angharad Williamson, John Cole, and Craig Mulligan would all be found guilty of murder, as well as perverting the course of justice. Prior to their sentencing, the judge would say to Craig, "I'm sure you acted as either your father told you to or to mirror his actions. You idolized him and wanted to gain his approval." She added, "You did not see Logan as a brother. When you were in foster care, you referred to Logan as the 5-year-old. And on more than one occasion said you wanted to kill him. No doubt because he was with the family and you were not." Then the judge would say to Angharad that she had been a good mother up until the time that she met John Cole, and began to focus more on him and Craig. She then added, "Something changed, and changed tragically. Your relationship shifted and Logan became superfluous." All three would end up being sentenced to life behind bars. Angharad with a minimum of 28 years, John Cole with a minimum of 29 years, and Craig Mulligan with a minimum of 15 years. Logan's father, Benjamin Mwangi, would say outside of court that his son was the sweetest and most beautiful boy. When he had heard that his son had been killed, he had collapsed. Ben said, "I felt like every fiber in my body had died, and I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't understand how something like this had happened to my son. I'm devastated I couldn't have been there to protect him." Following Logan's murder, people left tributes to him by the bank of the river where his body had been found. Additionally, the Tondu Primary School where Logan had attended created a memorial garden and a buddy bench in Logan's memory. Well, thank you for listening to Logan's story today. I think it's disgusting and selfish that Logan's mother ever even invited John to come live with them, knowing that he hated her son simply because of his skin color. And Logan was a child that she supposedly loved so much. So why would you do that? If you like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. And turn on those notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is at least twice every week. Thanks for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care guys. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon. So check it out at patreon.com/awickedworld or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims never get forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a case you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email at awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.